Yo, sleepers, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I just want to share with you guys a quick little tip for early progression. Don't spend your intel points unwisely. This only really applies early on when you're pretty limited for intel and you are still working your way through the journey, like the journey quest and just unlocking everything slowly. Like for example, let me show you guys the steel products. If you have a look at the steel tree, all of these things cost 10 intel points. And there's a lot of different weapons. There's 2 different armor sets. You don't need half of this stuff. You pretty much just need yourself a good melee weapon. So if you want to go with the dagger like short sword, you can choose that. Or you actually want to just use the sword, you can go with that instead. Or you want to go with the dirk. Like there's so many different options. There's 3 different melee weapons and you really only need one. Choose whichever one you like, and most of them will just get you through it until you can get to the unique recipes and stuff later on. Then you can be a little bit more picky about like what weapon to use for what situation is going to be better and so forth. But in the beginning, especially once you hit steel, don't overspend your intel because it is pretty limited early on. But then later on, as you progress and you unlock your levels, because each time you level up, you'll be getting intel points. And I believe it does increase the amount of intel points you get the higher your level is. Don't quote me on that though. Just if I think back to when I leveled up, I believe at like level 40 or something, I was getting maybe 5 or 10 intel points when I leveled up. But again, I'm not 100% sure if that is true. I just do know when you level up, you do get intel points. Another way to get intel points, though 100% guaranteed that I do know, just exploring and clearing out all these little outposts. There'll be like outposts and bandit places. There's the getaway over there. There's a place over here. The jackpot located in Sims Jackpot. If you actually go to read more on this interactive map, which I'll have linked down below in the description, you guys can actually see once this loads up what it looks like exactly. There's the intel point exactly. That's what they look like. They'll be floating like that. And you just pretty much go over there and hold E or F, whatever it is, and you'll claim it. And then that's going to give you intel points. I don't think these respawn. So it's like a one-time collection thingy, but there is a lot of these spread out all over the place. So if you are in need of a little bit more intel to progress further down the tree, because that's another thing to keep in mind. For example, if you're trying to get down to the aluminum products, those need you to have used 300 intel points. You don't have to use it in the specific tree, but you do need to have spent over 300 intel points to actually go ahead and unlock this tree. If we go to where the vehicles are, I can show you guys over there. The first ornithopter is going to be right there. It's going to cost you 30 intel points to even unlock the recipe there, but it's also going to be part of the aluminum tree. So you need to spend at least 300 intel to unlock these trees. And then you also need to use 30 intel to go ahead and buy the ornithopter. So getting these intel points is going to be pretty important, especially since they do get more and more as you go into the further zones. So the first zone down below, these were giving you 3 intel points, but once you come up to like the anvil zone, now these are actually giving you 5 intel points per. And the one on the left of you, I believe, is also 5 intel points per. But I think for the later zones, once we actually unlock those and go further, they might even increase how many intel points you get from like doing all these outposts and things. So just keep that in mind when you guys are progressing through. Don't just buy everything and unlock, especially in the steel tree, which I think a lot of people might actually do. Don't go ahead and buy everything right away. But I would suggest to choose the unlocked research tree from the beginning. Maybe it's your first time playing and you really have no idea, or if you're like new to survival games, you get an option where you can choose either the locked research tree or the unlocked tree. The unlocked tree is going to look like this, where pretty much as soon as you have the intel for it, you can go ahead and unlock it. But the locked tree is going to be locked behind the journey. And in saying that, even for the people playing with the unlocked tree, which I'm going to be doing on launch, I'm still going to be going through the journey and completing it because you have to kind of complete it step by step. For example, if you go ahead and craft your sand bike too early in the journey, you're going to have to dismantle it to rebuild it because the quest is not going to be like retroactive. Maybe they actually go ahead and fix that at launch. But in all the betas I played previously, if you're too fast and you get ahead of yourself, you craft a buggy or like some other stuff, you gather stuff too early, it's going to actually bug out the quest and you need to dismantle the buggy and recraft it to actually get the quest progress. One way that you can trick this with the quest progress is if the journey tells you to go collect like 500 cobalt or 200 fibers or something. If you have that in your stash or like in your base stored away, you can actually just pull it out of the storage and then it will complete the quest for you. It will count that way, but obviously you can't do that with the buggy. So either you have to dismantle it, put it back together again, or you might just have to craft yourself a whole new buggy. So don't get ahead of yourself in the journey. Make sure you guys are keeping track of the journey quest and following it through and doing it that way as well. I think when you do the journey quest, you get intel points as well. So that's another source of getting intel points. Just be a little bit mindful early on. Don't spend your intel points all willy-nilly, and don't get too far ahead of yourself. Otherwise, you might have to backtrack throughout the journey to actually unlock it and progress further. That's going to be it for this video though. Just a quick little informative video showing you guys to not spend your intel too early. Make sure you go ahead, collect intel, and also do focus on doing your journey. So go through the journey, enjoy it, because you only get to experience it one time, leveling up and discovering everything as you go along. Also, if you guys are playing with friends and you kind of want to like make different things or make different buggies and weapons and try them all, what you could do is you guys could decide between yourselves and research different things at different times, because that way you can research this weapon and then craft it, and then he can actually use it. Or you can research a different, processor or chemical processor or processor, and you guys can both put it in the same base. So that's another way of doing it early, but that's like super min-maxy. Just letting you guys know that is an option. You guys can technically kind of share your research / intel points that way, where you just make sure that you choose a different one to what your friend's choosing, and then that way you guys have a little bit more intel points early on. But if you play through by completing the journey and just enjoying the game and discovering everything as you go along, I think you guys will be just fine. So just a quick heads up, I'll catch you guys in the live stream over at twitch.tv/Augiesaint. If you see this video, we are more than likely live right now in Arrakis. So stay hydrated, and I'll catch you guys in the desert. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the